Can you follow Buddhism without believing in Buddha? Understanding the Buddha's true message. The Buddha's rejection of blind belief, finding your own way. When we think of Buddhism, we often picture quiet temples and people bowing to the Buddha. But when we look at what the Buddha actually taught, we find something different. He didn't want people to believe in him like a god. He wanted them to find their own way to freedom. This is the most important thing to understand about Buddhist practice. The Buddha wanted to be a guide, not someone to be worshipped. He showed a way to freedom through wisdom and seeing things clearly for yourself. His focus was on helping each person grow. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha said, "Make decisions based on what you find to be true from your own experience." He didn't want people to just accept things. He wanted them to check out the teachings for themselves. See if they make sense in your own life. This doesn't mean tradition is bad. It means you should use the teachings in a practical way. You should test them, and if they help, use them. This way, you learn from your own experience, not just because someone else said so. It's about thinking for yourself and taking an active part in your own spiritual path. This idea is clear in the Buddha's talk with the Kalamas. They were confused because many teachers were telling them different things. The Buddha told them not to believe teachings just because they came from tradition, seemed logical, came from a teacher, were heard from others, or looked good. He told them to explore things for themselves and to make their own decisions. He said, "If you see that some things are not good, don't follow them. If you see that some things are good, follow them." This is a way to learn that helps people make their own choices in life. The true essence of the Dhamma: cultivating wisdom through awareness. The story of Vakali shows why the Buddha didn't want people to worship him. Vakali, a monk, was too focused on how the Buddha looked. The Buddha understood this and said, "If you understand the teachings, you understand me. If you understand me, you understand the teachings." This means that the real Buddha, the truth, is not in his body, but in the teachings, the Dhamma. He wanted Vakali to stop focusing on his looks and to focus on the meaning of his teachings. The Buddha wanted Vakali to learn the way to freedom. Vakali's story shows that focusing too much on a teacher can stop your spiritual growth. The real point is not to worship the Buddha, but to follow the path he taught. Focusing on a person can make you miss the real message. When you think too much about how someone looks, you can't see inside yourself, learn from your own experience, and truly understand the teachings. This story encourages us to focus on the practices, not on the person who taught them. Learning from your own experience is also important in the story of Sariputta. He was one of the Buddha's main followers. Sariputta's first experience with Buddhism was not a big event, but a simple verse he heard from another monk. This wasn't about worship. It was about how the teaching made sense to him. Sariputta didn't become a follower because of faith. He was moved by the meaning and reason of the teachings. This shows that Buddhism wants people to learn through their minds and through their own understanding. Both are equally needed. Many people today are using Buddhist ideas in a secular way, without religious beliefs. They find that things like meditation and being mindful help them in their lives. This shows that Buddhist ideas are useful, even if you don't have religious beliefs. These teachings help with being calm, wise, and kind. They are useful for everyone. Some people like secular Buddhism because it's based on reason and your own experience, not just on faith. It's different from traditional Buddhism because it often focuses on being good and doing things practically, without religious rules or belief in the supernatural. It is important to see the difference between respect and worship. Buddhists show respect to the Buddha by bowing. This isn't worship. It's a way of being thankful for the guidance and the path he showed. The goal is to honor the teachings. The Buddha said he wasn't a god. He was a human who became free through his own hard work. He did not want to be seen as a god. He showed that everyone has the ability to become free through their own actions. This is what the teachings are about. When we have confidence based on our own understanding, experience, and self-awareness. Faith with understanding. For example, someone who prays to a statue to get rich is practicing worship, hoping for help from the outside. Someone who meditates to understand their own mind is practicing the teachings and learning inner wisdom. This shows the difference between looking outside for help and learning from within. Through the practice, we develop wisdom and see the world clearly, through both reason, understanding the teachings, and inner awareness, gaining a deeper knowledge through our own experience. Buddhist practice, therefore, balances understanding the teachings with reason and learning through our own experience, which helps us to gain self-awareness. Both ways of understanding are essential and support each other on the path to freedom. The real goal: less suffering, more understanding. The central message in Buddhism isn't about believing in the Buddha as a divine figure. It's about understanding and reducing suffering. The Buddha taught that life, by its very nature, includes suffering, but that we have the ability to find freedom from it. His practices are all designed to guide us toward this freedom. It's not about blind acceptance. It's about actively finding ways to live a happier, more peaceful life by understanding the causes of our pain and acting on that understanding. The story of Sunita, the street sweeper, powerfully demonstrates that our social status or circumstances are not barriers to spiritual awakening. Sunita's job, seen as very low and unclean in his society, placed him at the bottom of the social ladder. Yet, despite these circumstances, he was deeply drawn to the Buddha's teachings. One day, as the Buddha was walking past, Sunita, with great humility, stepped aside to allow him passage. Seeing the sincerity in Sunita's heart, the Buddha spoke to him, offered him guidance, and invited him to join the monastic community. Sunita, with diligent practice and unwavering dedication, ultimately achieved enlightenment. The Buddha taught that anyone can become free from suffering by following the path, regardless of their background or social standing. It's not about what we possess or how others view us, but about the quality of our actions and the depth of our commitment. Sunita's journey is a powerful testament to the fact that practice is accessible and transformative for everyone, emphasizing that dedication to the teachings is far more significant than any specific belief. The Buddha's encounter with Bahiya also showcases how Buddhism emphasizes simple, direct observation as a pathway to understanding. Bahiya, a seeker of truth, was renowned for his sincerity and eagerness to learn. He sought out the Buddha, wanting to understand the path to liberation. Instead of giving Bahiya a complex or intellectual teaching, the Buddha gave him a very simple, practical instruction. He said to Bahiya, "In what is seen, there must be just the seen. In what is heard, there must be just the heard. In what is sensed, there must be just the sensed. In what is thought, there must be just the thought. The Buddha wasn't asking Bahiya to ignore his senses or thoughts. He was inviting Bahiya to be fully present with them, to experience them without adding any judgments, opinions, or interpretations. By simply observing without adding our stories to it, we step out of our usual patterns of reaction and find the peace that comes from clear seeing. This teaching is a powerful reminder of the importance of being fully present, witnessing the world without the filters of our preconceived ideas. These stories together highlight that the essence of the path is in the practice, not in rigid beliefs. The core of Buddhist practice involves understanding the origins of suffering and altering our behavior to alleviate that suffering. The focus is on actively working to reduce suffering both for ourselves and for all beings. This path is open to anyone who chooses to walk it, regardless of their beliefs or background. The path to your own understanding. Becoming your own light. The Buddha's final teaching, "Be a lamp unto yourself," emphasizes the crucial role of self-reliance and inner wisdom on the spiritual path. It's an encouragement for each of us to navigate our own way, using his teachings as a compass, not as a rigid map to be followed blindly. The core idea is to learn to trust our own insights and understanding, recognizing that our own experience and wisdom are invaluable in finding what is true. We can find our own way by using our own wisdom, and we don't need to rely on anyone else to find the truth. The story of Pattakara vividly demonstrates how practice can transform even the most agonizing experiences into a source of profound wisdom. Pattakara, a woman of great wealth, experienced the crushing loss of her entire family in a series of tragic events. Overcome by grief and despair, she lost her sense of self, wandering aimlessly and disoriented through the streets. Eventually, she encountered the Buddha, who, instead of offering her platitudes or hollow consolation, listened to her story with deep compassion. He then shared with her the essence of suffering and the path toward liberation. He carefully guided her toward a practice of mindful breathing, emphasizing her ability to calm her mind and heart through her own diligent efforts. Through her consistent practice, Pattakara not only healed her broken heart, but also rose to become a highly respected and inspiring teacher within the community. Pattakara's story is a powerful example of the transformative power of Buddhist practice, demonstrating our inherent capacity to find strength and wisdom even in the midst of life's greatest challenges. Learning to work with our difficult emotions is also a key part of Buddhist practice. As humans, we all encounter times when we experience sadness, anger, or fear. Instead of telling us to suppress or ignore these feelings, Buddhist practice encourages us to turn towards them with awareness and understanding. By looking at our feelings and understanding their roots, we learn to work with them instead of being controlled by them. This ultimately reduces the power these emotions have over us. When starting your own practice, think of Buddhist teachings not as doctrines to be blindly accepted, but as practical tools you can use to better your life. The first step involves embracing direct observation. This is simply the act of noticing what is happening in your own mind and body without any form of judgment. For example, when you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting angry and frustrated, you can practice simply observing the tension in your body, the thoughts that arise, and the emotions that come and go without being carried away by them. The idea is to see things as they are, without letting emotions take control. By simply observing our reactions and feelings in everyday situations, you gain a better understanding of how you react to different situations. Another crucial step is to put the teachings into practice in your own life and see what happens. For example, if you are learning about the importance of kindness, you can try being kinder in a specific situation. Let's say you have a coworker who consistently misses deadlines, causing extra work for the team. Your first instinct might be to criticize him, complain about him to other coworkers, or even lash out during a meeting. That reaction is likely to make you and him feel worse. But putting the Buddhist teaching of kindness into action, you might choose a different approach. Instead of criticizing him, you could take a moment to consider what might be happening in his life. Maybe he has a challenge at home or is having a hard time at work. You could offer to assist him, ask if there is anything you can do to help lighten his workload, or offer words of support and encouragement. You might choose to speak to him in private rather than publicly, showing him the compassion you'd like to receive. By choosing this path, you are putting the teaching of kindness into practice and seeing how it can change a negative situation into a positive one. Or, if you're learning about mindfulness, you could try bringing more awareness to your daily activities like washing dishes or eating, noticing each action with more attention. As you experience the practical effects of these teachings in your daily life, you build a deeper understanding that goes beyond mere intellectual knowledge. This is not about blindly accepting a concept, but about experiencing the truth of it for yourself. This process of learning and growing through practice helps create a solid foundation for your spiritual path. The wisdom you gain is not theoretical. It's a practical, experiential wisdom that you develop through your own insights and consistent practice, making the teachings become a part of your lived experience instead of just abstract concepts. Practical tools for life and growth. There are several accounts in the suttas, the Buddhist scriptures, of people who started with skepticism. The Buddha was often approached by individuals who had doubts and questions, and he always welcomed them. He never demanded that they accept his teachings without inquiry. Instead, he encouraged them to explore the teachings for themselves, using their own reasoning and direct experience. Some of them were attracted to the intellectual and philosophical depth of the teachings, while others were converted by the tangible transformations they experienced. These stories show that it's not essential to have unwavering faith from the start. You can begin with a healthy dose of doubt and skepticism and still benefit from these powerful and effective practices. Buddhist practices can be used in many real-world situations. For instance, in managing stress and anxiety, mindfulness is an effective tool. Imagine you are preparing for a big presentation at work and you feel a wave of anxiety coming over you. Instead of letting those anxious thoughts overwhelm you, you could practice focusing your attention on your breath, noticing the physical sensations of your body, and observing your thoughts without judgment. This mindful approach allows you to create a space between you and your stress, giving you a clearer perspective and preventing the anxiety from spiraling out of control. By doing so, you may realize that the anxiety is not as overwhelming as it initially felt, and you will have more power to reduce your stress. Buddhist teachings are also very helpful when building better relationships. They encourage us to practice kindness, compassion, and understanding in our interactions with others. You can use mindfulness to truly listen to others without reacting immediately or interrupting them. You can learn to see others with genuine empathy, understanding their viewpoints, and accepting them for who they are, even if you don't agree with them. For example, instead of automatically judging your neighbor for their actions, you can try to understand what they are going through and approach them with compassion. Putting these teachings into practice creates more peaceful and loving relationships. Finally, Buddhist practices are particularly useful in finding peace and resilience during challenging times. Life is often filled with unexpected difficulties, whether it's a job loss, a health issue, or the death of a loved one. These are situations that you cannot control. Instead of resisting what's happening, you can practice the acceptance of difficult things while still finding peace. You can also use meditation to cultivate inner calm during difficult times. You don't have to be happy all the time. This is not about avoiding pain, but about accepting what is, without getting overwhelmed by it. For instance, when you are dealing with a difficult situation, like the loss of a loved one, instead of pushing your feelings away, you can practice noticing your feelings without judgment, allowing them to arise and pass away naturally, thereby learning to navigate difficulties with more calmness and grace. The Buddha's teachings to Ananda about spiritual friendship highlight that we don't have to walk this path alone. The Buddha emphasized the value of having good spiritual friends. When you surround yourself with others who understand and support the teachings, the practice becomes easier and more enjoyable. We all benefit from having people in our lives who can offer us support, encouragement, and understanding, especially when times are hard. While the path to enlightenment is ultimately a personal journey, the support of spiritual friends and a compassionate community can provide invaluable guidance and encouragement along the way. There are many examples of individuals today who are engaging in Buddhist practices without any religious beliefs, and they are finding that these practices help them become better people, navigate their emotions with more skill, and discover a deeper sense of peace in their lives. These stories demonstrate that it's entirely possible to gain the profound benefits of Buddhist practice without having to believe in specific religious dogmas or concepts. The teachings of the Buddha were designed to be a universal guide for all people,